We are racing through the Women's Rugby World Cup. Pool A is over. And welcome back to the channel. What have you made of the Red Roses throughout this pool stage? In particular, what did you make of them against the Wallaroos, especially that first 30 minutes or so? Because it was a much tougher test than they faced overall. They still ended up winning the game pretty comfortably in the end. But give me your views. What did you make of it? And how much better do you think they need to be? Do they need to be better to win a home World Cup? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Alfie. Comment down below, as I've said already. Like the video and hit that subscribe button. I would love it if I earn your subscription in this video. So, the final score. England 47, Australia 7. But a scoreline that doesn't... I suppose I was about to say it doesn't tell the story of the game. It does really, because England were so dominant from probably about 30 minutes onward. But it doesn't tell the story of that opening half an hour. And this certainly was the scrappiest I think we've seen England so far. The most that they have been challenged so far. And I think that is probably a good thing. But maybe I'll come on to that. Let's start with the Wallaroos, because my focus in these videos is always overall going to be England. But it's a funny thing to say, isn't it? You've just lost 47-7. But that was a good Aussie performance, in particular in the first half, because they caused England all sorts of problems. And I thought what was most impressive about that performance was the phase attack the Wallabies displayed in the first half. A number of times we saw them go into kind of multiple phases against England. And actually their main frustration might be that they didn't score more points. Not so much in the second half, but certainly in that first half. And any of you that were watching here in the UK on the BBC, they threw up a stat of expected tries, which I haven't particularly seen in rugby. I cover a lot of football, and expected goals in football is a metric we've all got pretty accustomed with. But expected tries, which is basically based upon the game, the possession, the areas of possession a team has had, how many tries you would expect them to score during that time. And the Aussies was like 6 tries, and they'd only scored 1. So actually, maybe they left a load of points out there. But I think they can be pretty confident with that performance, with that first half an hour. And I was at the Wallabies kind of team hotel earlier on this week on Tuesday and chatting to them. And they were being quite bullish. I quite liked it, to be fair, about how they wanted to go out and upset England. That was their goals. They know how good the Red Roses were. But they were talking a pretty good game. They were firing a few shots, I thought. And they didn't get there. But I think in that first half, they really backed up those words. I thought they were really good. And actually, if we look at overall Pool A, England have gone through top of the pool. The Wallabies have gone through second in the pool, basically on points difference, because they've got the same set of results as the USA, obviously after the two of them drew last week, but they didn't lose to England by as much. And I can't remember their score against Samoa, but overall their points difference is better, ultimately. So that first half an hour, took 32 minutes before England took the lead, was absolutely crucial for the Wallaroos. So huge credit to them. And they are going to be playing Canada on Saturday in Bristol. And it's the Red Roses against Scotland in Bristol on Sunday, which is pretty tantalising with the rivalry of the Scots. So England. Scrappiest England performance we have seen so far at this World Cup, but still good enough to win comfortably, which maybe gets us to the heart of one of the main questions of this World Cup. There are teams here that can trouble England, but is there anyone that can trouble them for a full match? Because for 30 minutes here, England didn't play very well. I thought they were quite scrappy. A load of forward passes, loads of forward passes from England. How the one for the Jess Breaches try, by the way, didn't get picked up by the TMO, I'll never know. But England scrappy, they were troubled. Can anyone trouble them for long enough to actually beat them? I think that is the question here, isn't it? Could it be Canada? Could it be the Black Ferns? Even those teams might not be able to for long enough for England to prevent England from winning their home World Cup. We shall wait and see. I've mentioned the forward passes. I thought they were drop balls. They weren't able to really put any pressure on Australia. Australia controlled early parts of the game. But despite all of that, despite all of those frustrations, you've got to give huge credit, because once England did take the lead, they were dominant, weren't they? Their scrum at times in that second half, it was one-way traffic. And once again, they scored some great tries. They scored different types of tries, from driving mauls, from running rugby. I thought the back three all looked really dangerous. Hopefully Ellie Kildunn is all right. I presume she just failed an HIA because she is so key to England. Hannah Bottoman as well, the other one that went off, which I understand is a back spasm. So again, hopefully she is okay, because she's pretty key for England as well. They weren't perfect, England, but they still just won by 40 points, which tells us everything about the Red Roses and how good they are at this moment and how much better they should be than the competition. Good things for England. Kicking still good. Zoe Harrison very good off the tee. If they do end up getting into an arm wrestle or a match which is a lot closer than what we've been seeing, then that could be crucial. And I guess ultimately it was the way in which they got through the first half an hour and were incredibly strong throughout the rest of the game. From that point of view, I think England will be very happy. Job done through the pool stage into the knockouts, and we are building nicely. They are building nicely for this home World Cup, which leads me on to my final question. Was this a good time to have that tougher test? We knew England would get through the pool. It would have been a miracle if they hadn't. They've got through the pool. They beat the USA comfortably opening night. They put Samoa to the sword as we expected against a team that are amateur. And then they've beaten Australia comfortably with some really good rugby second half, but they were challenged, certainly in that first half an hour. And I think it's probably a really good reminder for John Mitchell and those coaches and that group of players to just remind them, yes, once again, we've displayed how good we are. We know how good we are. We know how dominant and effective and brutal and clinical and all of that stuff that we can be. But if we're not on it, then teams will fire shots at us. Teams will land punches. Teams can hurt us. We have to be on our game. This World Cup is not going to be given to us. And I actually think this is probably quite a good time for England to have that reminder. Maybe they don't need it, but I think they certainly got it today. I'll leave it there. What did you make of the game? What did you make of England? What did you make of Australia? And is there anyone that is going to trouble England for a full 80? I find it unlikely at the moment based upon what we've seen so far, but let's wait and see what happens. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.